Okay, today I'm with my good friend Dylan Savage, professor of piano at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, UNCC. And last week, I interviewed Dylan about his book, which is the result of a lifetime study. It's called A Transposed Musician. And he consented to this interview because this book, it is absolutely necessary to the development of our teaching music and the arts, because Dylan, he reveals that really we are working with universal principles in the classroom, and many times without realizing it. And so we have this video here, really necessary knowledge. And so this week, he asked if he can reciprocate and interview me about a recent book that I've published. And it's very interesting because we knew each other as teenagers, because we both studied with the same piano teacher in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And then we went completely different ways, and we hadn't seen each other for more than 50 years. Maybe I shouldn't say that. And we both published books right at the same time during this pandemic, 2020-21. And so he would like to interview me this time about the book that I had published. It's also the result of a lifetime study. So Dylan, take it away. He wants to pick my brain about this, and so let's go.
Well, I'm delighted to be here and to be chatting again with you, a wonderful and dear friend. Just a few words about Gilbert Gambucci. He was awarded the National Paderewski Piano Tournament Award at age 17. He has a Bachelor of Music degree from Ithaca College, Conservatory of Music. He has performed professionally on 4 continents. And presently, he's the international academic representative for the Kepi Pacheco Trilogical Colleges in Brazil, where he is also the professor of piano instruction and the transdisciplinary studies. His book is called Third Millennium Renaissance: The Vital Role of Music and Arts in Society. And I was fascinated by this title because it says so much to me that this vital role, you and I have both spent lives totally in music, and obviously it's been vital to us. And I believe it's vital to almost everybody, although they may not be able to quite articulate it as such. And although they listen to music on a daily basis and quite a bit. And so what I like so much about your book is it really helps people get a very deep understanding, I think, of some of the principles behind why it is the arts are so vital. So I'd love it if you would help our listeners get a sense of the book and its overall thrust.
What happened, Dylan, was since 1984, I've been working on a daily basis with the formidable psychoanalyst and social scientist, Austrian-Brazilian scientist, Dr. Norberto Kepi. And he has achieved a successful unification of the sciences with philosophy and spirituality. And so what I've been doing is I've been applying his science to the arts. And through the many books that he's written, almost 50 books now, more than 300 television programs that are available to people, personal conversations. And I've collected original Kepian perspectives on the arts, 15 of them, that nobody talks about. And so when you put them all together, it reveals the real role of the arts that society in general doesn't understand yet. Everybody knows that the arts are undervalued. And so I was complaining to Dr. Kepi one time that, okay, if the arts are this, that we're showing, if they are so necessary to psychological and social life, then why is it so difficult for artists to survive in society? So he said, well, why don't you write about this? And so I produced this book in order to reveal to people the vital role of music and the arts in both psychological life and in social life. And so this book is the result of that.
Great. So we now have a better sense of what it's dealing with. And there are these, it's a very big picture that you're sort of, you have grappled with and put into three sections in this book. Now, the first section of this book is called Understanding the Real Role of the Arts. And I like the word, especially real, very much like I like vital. And it may differ from what some people commonly think of as the role of the arts, which is perhaps more of an entertainment vehicle. So is there something that you would like us to sort of get a big picture on regarding this real role? Maybe a little more in depth in one aspect that will help people have a sense of why it is they respond so strongly to the arts.
You know, in studying metaphysics, Dylan, especially the area of ontology, the study of being, what is being, we find that one of the essential components of our very souls is beauty. And this beauty, it needs to be fed with beautiful elements, just like we need to feed our bodies. Nobody wants bad food. And so we need to feed psychological life with artistic elements. It's an absolute necessity. And one of the inverted ideas that people have about the arts is that they think it's a kind of a fantasy world or an invention that the artist is making up. But my day-to-day reality is completely different. But really, society, especially contemporary society, is filled with so many pathological elements that has nothing to do with the essence of the human being. You know, we're full of starvation and war and one faction against another and unjust laws. There are so many pathological elements that we're forced to deal with that this is something that's completely out of reality, has nothing to do with the nature of being. And the artists are trying to show us the real world of the creator without all of this pathology, without all of this opposition to our essence. And so we've created a society that even we ourselves can't stand living in because we don't perceive very well that what we're putting into society is our pathology. And the artists are trying to show us the real world of the creator. So there's this idea, I think it's kind of scandalous idea, but it's essential to understand that society needs to adapt itself to the arts in order to enter into reality, the reality of the creator. Another aspect that I bring up in the first part of this book is how the arts are the link between this world, this temporary world, physical world, and the metaphysical world, the eternal spiritual world. You know, throughout the centuries, it's been thought that mathematics makes this link between the physical and metaphysical. And we just can't confirm this idea because mathematics, it's a very small part of intellect, and intellect is a small part of being. But the arts, they deal with everything that we are. The arts deals with feeling, with love, with intuition, with good action, with consciousness. Everything that we are is necessary in order to produce works of art. And so it's the arts that make the link between this physical world and the metaphysical world. That's why, for example, you can notice that most churches, I use this example a lot in our classrooms, any denomination, whatever the denomination or faith may be, usually churches are very beautiful. You know, the architecture it has domes and steeples and buttresses and carved entrance doors. And inside we have paintings all over the place. Sculpture is being represented with the statues. Many churches have stained glass windows, which create a very beautiful ambient inside. There's always music during the ceremonies. So why do most churches use all of the arts possible? It's because it's the arts that make the link between this physical, temporal world and the metaphysical, eternal, spiritual world. And so just considering this one consideration, that the artists make this link for us between these two conditions that we have, just that shows the necessity that we need of the arts, and so imagine I've collected 15 of these. And when you put them together, you see that the real role of the arts are the foundation of civilization. So basically, this is the first part one of the book, of this lifetime study that I've put together for people to avail themselves of. It's called Third Millennium Renaissance. Let me see if I can show this here.
Just hold that steady. Yes, wonderful.
The real role of the arts and music and the arts in society. There's a painting here of the child Handel, which I like very much, and it's been placed in a kind of universal cosmic context,
I'm going to check the second chapter or section. It's called Analyzing and I'm going to have to get my glasses because I'm right at the cusp of analyzing the problem. So help us understand what the problem is then. Is that maybe something that's getting in the way of this deeper understanding? Or
very briefly, Dylan, there are problems in the arts that we're having today that needs to be addressed and that nobody's addressing. And I've really tried very hard to address them scientifically. And so, for example, did you know that in the helmets of American soldiers on the front lines there in Iraq, they play heavy metal, heavy rock music in order to incentivize the aggression so that they can kill? And so, is this the kind of music that we want in our societies? It's something that really needs to be better conscientized. And so in the popular musical field, there are some problems that needs to be resolved. It's not optional, it needs to be resolved. Why do we have youth going into the classrooms and shooting their colleagues that they don't like? This problem that we're having in society. But yet they're listening to very aggressive music all the time. And another aspect is in the fine arts world. There's no more classical music. It's stopped. Nowadays it's called dodecaphony. And so I have a scientific analysis about what is dodecaphony. And these are problems that need to be addressed, because how can you solve a problem of which you are unaware? So the idea here is to reveal the essence, the root of the problem, so that we can solve them and go forward.
So you also then identify music that would be the opposite of that, what I think is more desirable. Can you tell us a tiny bit about what that music might be?
Well, knowing what the problem is, then that really puts us right in front of the solution. So part 3 of this book is the solution in a couple of different aspects. One is, what will be the new aesthetic of the third millennium instead of dodecaphony? What will be our new aesthetic? And I reveal to us the dialectic process necessary for that. And that might sound a little bit intellectualized, I suppose, but it's very practical. And another aspect of the solution is how musicians and artists can organize themselves in a way where they can earn a professional life. Many different artists, they wanted a kind of brotherhood of artists to see how they can better survive in a society that tends to exclude the arts, exclude beauty, because it's not known what is the essential role of the arts. For example, Franz Liszt, he wanted a brotherhood of artists, just like many others. Even Vincent van Gogh wanted a brotherhood of artists because they perceive that something is necessary. Artists need to protect themselves. And so I reveal exactly how this can be done, believe it or not. It's a scientific type of enterprise, if I can put it that way. It's a way of organizing a group of artists, how you can organize yourselves in a way where you can promote your work in society in a professional manner without being dependent on people who exploit the artists. And so part 3 just deals all with this, the solution that is necessary for artists in order to make a professional living.
Well, that really helps, our understanding. Maybe as a final question, what might a typical course in which you are teaching involving music or some of the interdisciplinary studies that you're talking about, how might that materialize then, using some of the principles, of your book, and how might you, better stated, how might you incorporate some of those principles into a typical course?
That's an interesting question, Dylan, because my colleagues here at the Kepi and Pacheco Trilogical College here in Brazil, they've put together an online course, at the distance. In Portuguese, we say at the distance, but it's an online course about this book. It's a 1-semester course that you can take. It's an elective course or an extension course. And it's just, it's a study of this book. With once a week, we have an online discussion with myself about the contents of the book. And there's like questions and answers, and I've made videos about each chapter. And so anyone who is interested can take the course. It's called, one of the chapters in here, it's called The Arts, the Soul of Society. That's the name of the course. Because the arts are absolutely the soul of society, and this needs to be recovered.
Well, I'm tempted on taking the course. I love it. It's just all of this, as I said, is very much so close and dear to my own thinking and my own heart.
And my book is available at the publishers here. We have our own publishing house here at the Kepi and Pacheco Trilogical College. So I'll have it put here on the bottom. You can see that it's the site is the www.editoraproton.com.br. Editora is like editor. Editora Proton. Proton is the name of our publishing house. And this book is available there. And the course is available on our website. Just go to Kepi and Pacheco. Kepi Pacheco. I'll put this here on the bottom here also for you to see. kepipacheco.edu.br. BR stands for Brazil, right? Okay. So there we go.
Well, thank you so very much. It was a great pleasure to talk with you and to learn more about your book and how you're incorporating all of this in your teaching in Brazil. Thank you so very much.
Dylan, let's continue talking about these interesting, fascinating, and necessary subjects next week. Okay, I'll see you next week. Okay.
Let's do that. Thank you.